Hey guys, it's Hannah, and today I wanted to come and do a quick review of this Rhodia Goalbook I picked up. I picked this up from my local bookstore. You can order it online. A lot of bookstores do sell these from what I've seen. So I want to quickly just go over the specs with you. It is a dot grid notebook. It has an index and it also has perpetual calendars, which I will show you what that means once I open this up. It does have 240 pages, ribbon bookmarks it says. So one of the most important things to me is figuring out the GSM of the paper. That basically means how heavy and thick the paper is. This is 90 GSM, which isn't crazy. It's kind of middle of the road, which is pretty typical for these kinds of notebooks. But if you're looking for something that's more durable, that would hold up to water better and stuff like that, you're going to want to find a thicker GSM. You may find some ghosting and bleeding in a 90 GSM paper. This is also an ivory paper, so that means it's not going to be completely white. To me, it has a yellowish tint to it. That's kind of why I've personally strayed away from Rhodias, just because that's not my personal preference, but their paper is amazingly smooth. So a lot of people like to practice in Rhodia notebooks, or a lot of people like to bullet journal in them as well. It's also vellum paper, so from what I understand, that is just basically a coating on the paper, and that's probably what makes it so smooth. So with that being said, I'm going to open this up and show you what it looks like. Now they also have different colors. I think most of them incorporate the orange somewhere in them because Rhodia is like known for orange and black, so that's something. The cover to me is slightly disappointing, but that's just because it doesn't feel very durable. Already I have like a couple nicks in this thing and I haven't even like used it or really opened it. But, it depends on what you're using it for. If you have an extra cover that you'll use and all of that stuff. This is like a silvery, reflective type cover. It's not like some of the covers I've had in the past are like this soft, leathery feel. This is not that. This is, I don't know, just like a thick paper, basically. It has the Rhodia logo on the front and it says Goalbook. Nothing on the back. It does have this closure, which I personally really like. One thing it does not have, which is lacking, especially for the price. Let me see what I paid for this. So I paid $25 for this notebook. It does not have a pen loop. And a pen loop is actually very important for me, especially if you're a guy and you're not like carrying a purse around. It's probably nice to be able to have something to put your pen in if you're using this for bullet journaling, which I would assume you're going to use it for some sort of calendar type thing since it's the Goalbook. So for the price tag, for it to be lacking such a crucial feature to me is somewhat disappointing, but we'll dig in and see what else it has. Another thing is that it has 2 bookmarks. I appreciate that it has 2 bookmarks, but one thing I will say about this as well, this video is meant to be somewhat picky because I want to give you all of the details about these notebooks, and so I'm going to be pretty hard on these notebooks to actually show you what you're getting for what you're paying for. So with other bullet journals or just other notebooks in general, sometimes they will have the bookmarks 2 different colors, and I find it very helpful so that you know, like if I'm bookmarking, let's say, my books to read page, then I know that's my orange bookmark, and then the bookmark that is blue I'm using for like that day of the week bullet journal or whatever, basically it just is easier to distinguish between what's what. So when they're both the same color, that's not as useful, but I'm at least glad it does have 2 bookmarks. So there's that. The initial page is blank with the orange. And then in real life, this is super smooth paper. Like, Rhodia paper is one of my favorite things to write on and to letter on because it is so smooth. That is something I will give Rhodia. The first page has just some lines that you can write your information in. A lot of people write their information. If it gets lost, you can have a reward for it and something. So basically this is Clairefontaine paper. That's what's so smooth. That's what you can look for if you're looking for lettering paper and anything like that. So I like how it has the table of contents already here for you. If you're big into bullet journaling, this is going to save you time to already have this index here. And it has a few pages of this, which is also nice. Now this is, from my understanding, this is the perpetual calendar. So it has January, February, March, April, May, June on this page, and then the rest of the months here. And this is helpful for if you're, I use these a lot, but I typically will have to write all of this out myself. And this is nice for planning ahead. It's nice if you want to put people's birthdays in here to remember them. But it's basically just kind of like a planning ahead spread. And then they also have this, which is bigger spaces that you can also write in for planning ahead or anything like that. So this is really nice. It's undated and all of that stuff. So you can kind of start this whenever you want to start it, use it whenever you want to use it, and it just works. So for bullet journal, this is going to save you lots of time and it's just productive. And now, once we got onto the first dot page, this is where the numbered pages begin. This is also something that's very useful. When I'm paying $25 for a notebook, I expect it to have numbered pages. I expect it to have more features, and so this is something I'm very happy about. It does have numbered pages, and so if you're new to the bullet journaling world, numbered pages are nice for the table of contents. You can write down what different collections, different whatever you want to remember on different pages to keep you organized. So that is basically the specs of the notebook. It does have a pocket in the back, which is pretty standard for most notebooks nowadays. I mean, it kind of surprises me, but I use the back pocket of the notebook pretty regularly. Right now I think I have stamps in the back of my notebook. Sometimes if people give me cards, I'll put that back there. If I have sticky notes or anything like that that I need to remember, I will put it right back here. So that's definitely very useful. And now one other thing that I wanted to include in this video for you is a pen test. I will show you the pens that I typically use in my bullet journal. Now this is not an exhaustive list of pens, but these are pretty popular pens that a lot of people use, and so I will show you quickly how they hold up on this paper, how they write, and all of that stuff. So some of the pens that I use the most frequently in my bullet journal are Tombow dual brush pens. These pens are water-based. They're good for lettering, they're good for headers, they're good for washes if you want to do a wash. So I'll show you how these hold up. I will also add water to them to see how they hold up in the paper. Another thing are the Sakura Pigma Microns. This is almost exclusively what I use to write in my bullet journal. So I want to see how these hold up, if there's any bleeding or ghosting. Another thing that I use a lot is the Kuretake Fudakochi whatever pen. It's just the Kuretake Feud pen. This is a small brush pen similar to the Tombow Feud Nasuki pen. I use this a lot. And then obviously I have the Tombow Feuds as well. I will be testing these out along with a Muji pen. This is just like a normal pen. I use these quite a bit. And then last but not least, I have my Zebra mild liners. There's tons of packs of these, but I use these a lot in my bullet journal. So let's get started with this pen test. The first one I will be testing out is just showing you how these ones hold up in here and what they look like. Now like I said before, this paper is so smooth to write on. It makes me so happy to write on this paper. It's just so buttery soft. And I don't know if you can see in this video, but like I mentioned earlier, it is an ivory tint. I can bring one of my other notebooks over to show you the contrast between like a super white paper and then this paper. That's something that I wasn't super crazy about, but if you don't care, then that's cool. Now quickly I will try to add water to this and see what it looks like and how the paper holds up. I would expect this to warp slightly because it's not a super thick paper, but we will see. So it does seem to blend pretty nicely. I've used other papers where it just kind of eats the paper up and doesn't really blend very well. So that's something that's kind of a draw, which is very nice. And then you can even use the leftover ink on here to letter with. Okay. Moving on, I will go right into the Tombow Feuds. This is the soft tip. And this is the hard tip. Moving right along, I will do the Kuretake feud since this is similar. It's almost like a mix between the soft tip and the hard tip. It's definitely on the softer side, but very similar in size of the nib. Now, one difference, just really quickly, side tangent, but the difference between this pen and the Tombows is this pen seems quite a bit blacker to me. Like I said, it's hard to know what this video is actually going to pick up on, but this is like a super dark black, like it gets black, where this one's definitely a softer black, just not as much. So depends on what you're into, but if you really like the dark black, go with the Kuretake. Then this is just the Muji, and this is a 0.38. So it's pretty thin. Like I said, super smooth writing. And then I have the Sakura Micron, and this is an 03 nib. This is the size I normally use. And then really quick, we'll try these zebra mild liners. These are also really neat because you have two tips. So this is like a chisel bowl tip is what they say. And then if you go to the other end, it's the fine tip. So that's pretty nice. They have tons of colors, and they also sell these at both Target and Walmart if you are in the US. You know what, I'm just going to do those two colors because they kind of coordinate with that. So, the moment of truth. Let's turn the page and see how all of these pens held up in this notebook. Now, I'm just going to be looking for ghosting, bleeding, anything like that. So, no bleeding. Bleeding is when you can actually see the ink start to bleed through the page onto the next sheet. So there's no bleeding even with the water that I added. So that's pretty good. I like that a lot. There is some warping to this page because I added water, which was expected. I did not expect it to not work. That's just like super typical of that. So that's really cool. There's, I mean, if you're holding this up to the light, there's ghosting. Like I can see through the page right now, but I'm also holding it up to the light. So, but then also when it's laying flat against the next page, you can still see some ghosting with this, and that's to be expected as well because it's 90 GSM paper. It's not like a super thick paper. But like I said, this is a dream to write on. So one thing I wanted to show you quickly was just the contrast between these pages and then like a super white page. So this is an Archer and Olive notebook, which has thicker pages, but it's also very, very white. So just so you can see, this is ivory, this is white. That's the difference. Hold it up for you so you can see that. Overall, my honest review of this, it was $25.99 when I purchased it from my local bookstore. I'm not sure if you could find it for cheaper. That's what I paid. For the price that I paid, like I said, there's some features that are missing that I wish was there, like the pen loop and the different colored ribbons. This might seem minor, but for the price tag, that's what I'm looking for in a journal. The pages held up pretty well. It depends on if ghosting bothers you or not. If ghosting bothers you, I would definitely move up to a different notebook that has thicker pages, but the pages in this notebook are super smooth. So I really hope that this video was helpful for you. I'm going to have a whole series on notebook reviews, so if you're looking for that perfect notebook and you don't know what it is, just go ahead and search and you'll probably find what you're looking for on my channel. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already to see more videos like this in the future. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I mean, how did that sound? Do you think that was like thorough enough and everything?
Yeah, I think it was good.